Chosen one, heaven itself has paused to speak directly to you. This is not coincidence. This is not the algorithm. This moment has been divinely arranged. You are not like the rest, you never were. You were not made to blend in. You were designed to break patterns, to defy odds, and to carry light into places where others only carried noise. Listen carefully. The world has tried to convince you that you are behind, that you are late, that you have missed your season. But the Spirit of God whispers otherwise. You are right on time. The wilderness was never punishment, it was preparation. Every tear, every closed door, every misunderstood prayer was heaven's method of chiseling your soul into a vessel that could contain glory. You thought you were forgotten, but you were being formed. Do you remember the nights when your heart was too heavy to lift your hands? When you looked at others and wondered why their prayers seemed answered while yours echoed unanswered into silence? Yet deep down, something in you refused to die. That unexplainable strength that kept you standing was not your own. It was divine breath preserving a chosen vessel. You have carried weight most people could not survive. That is proof not of weakness, but of calling. There are chosen ones all across the earth, but few awaken. The world dulls their fire with distraction, with noise, with doubt. But you, yes, you reading this now, heaven marked you before time began. Your name has been whispered in angelic halls. You were chosen not because of perfection, but because of purpose. The very battles you fought were selected to train your spirit for authority. The prophet Isaiah once wrote of a moment just like this. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. This is not a poetic suggestion, it is a command. Arise not tomorrow, not after you feel ready, not when others approve. Now. Shine because the time for hiding is over. The glory of the Lord does not rise upon the perfect, it rises upon the willing. You have walked through seasons that stripped everything familiar from you so that only faith remained. But in that stripping, God was revealing what could not be taken, His presence in you. You are stepping into a season where the very things that once broke you will become the testimony that builds others. You are not entering this next chapter empty-handed. You are entering clothed in oil. Every scar has become a seal of authority. The miracle that is about to unfold in your life will not be quiet. It will not be subtle. It will not be explainable by logic or luck. It will be a display of divine orchestration so profound that even those who dismissed you will have no choice but to acknowledge it was God. You are about to witness a reversal so sudden, so complete, that it will silence every critic and awaken faith in every observer. And when it happens, when the miracle arrives, you will know it was never about proving them wrong. It was about revealing who you always were. You are a signpost of grace, a living prophecy, a vessel chosen for a moment of manifestation. The same God who called light out of darkness is now calling light out of you. So, chosen one, lift your head. Heaven is leaning in your direction. The winds are shifting. You can feel it, the stirring in your spirit that refuses to let you give up. That's not restlessness. That's resurrection. Something buried is coming alive again. God is about to showcase you as evidence of His mercy, His power, and His timing. The miracle will not just bless you, it will shock those who thought your story was over. Do not fear their disbelief. Every delay was divine alignment. Every detour was the hand of God protecting you from counterfeit blessings. What was withheld from you was never rejection, it was redirection towards something sacred. Now, listen closely. This message found you for a reason. It is not meant to make you feel good, it is meant to wake your soul. Arise and shine, heaven is calling your name aloud. You are the miracle in motion, the prophecy unfolding, the chosen light breaking through clouds of confusion. If this message burns in your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs reminding that God still moves mountains. Like this message so it continues reaching those heaven has assigned to awaken. Subscribe if you haven't, because the next revelation is already being written for those who refuse to fall asleep again. And before you scroll away, type this prophetic number below as a declaration of agreement. 777, a sign of divine completion, alignment, and supernatural perfection over your life. You have wondered why the road was so long, why you had to walk through so many closed doors, so many silent seasons. But listen, chosen one, nothing in your journey has been wasted. Every delay, every rejection, every silent night was the hand of heaven crafting you in secret. You were not being punished, you were being prepared. The hidden seasons were classrooms, though they felt like prisons. You see, God does not build greatness in the spotlight, He builds it in the shadow. The most powerful weapons are forged in fire, and you, beloved, have walked through flame after flame only to emerge unburned. You thought the fire was meant to destroy you, but it was purifying you. It was teaching you how to carry what ordinary people cannot. Heaven was training you to hold glory without pride and pain without bitterness. There were days when you asked, "Why me? Why must I carry this?" But the truth is, heaven saw in you a spirit strong enough to endure the crushing. You were never random. Before the foundation of the world, your name was written into the plan. You were hidden not because you were forgotten, but because you were too valuable to be exposed before your appointed time. The world was not ready for what you carry. Remember Joseph thrown into a pit, sold as a slave, falsely accused, imprisoned. Every step seemed backward, every moment unfair, but all of it was alignment. What looked like tragedy was transportation. What looked like rejection was redirection. You too, Kunu, have been misunderstood by people who could not see what heaven was forming in you. You have been judged for things they never took time to understand. Yet through it all, God was silent not because He had nothing to say, but because His work in you spoke louder than words. You are the kind of soul that cannot be manufactured overnight. While others were seen early, you were hidden deep, buried like a seed. And a seed's burial always feels like death until it breaks through the soil. That breaking is coming. The soil is beginning to shift above you, and soon what was unseen will bloom in full color. The same people who wondered where you went will soon ask how you grew. The Apostle Paul reminds us in his letter to the Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Even the pain that made you question everything was part of the process that would confirm your calling. Not some things, all things. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every season that didn't make sense. All of it has been working together like the gears of divine machinery, unseen but never still. There were people who left you at crucial moments, and you could not understand why. Yet, if they had stayed, they would have anchored you in a season that was meant to pass. God removed them not to leave you empty, but to make room for alignment with those ordained for your next chapter. You have cried over losses that were actually deliverances in disguise. Heaven saw what you could not, and mercy moved you away from what looked stable but was secretly poisoned. Every time you thought you were standing still, you were actually being repositioned. Every pause was placement. God hid you behind closed doors because the public unveiling of a chosen one must happen on divine schedule. There are people who bloomed before you and already withered, but your bloom will last because your roots grew deep in waiting. Do not despise the time it took. Depth cannot be rushed. Even now, the evidence of divine preparation is all over your life. Look back and see at the times you were spared, the near disasters that mysteriously dissolved, the moments you should have fallen apart but didn't. That was heaven intervening, quietly weaving redemption through your story. You are walking proof that delay does not mean denial. And when the miracle comes, you will understand why it took this long. Because if it had come earlier, you might have thought you achieved it by your own hand. But now, you will know beyond question it was God. You will not just carry blessing, you will carry testimony. Chosen one. Breathe deeply and rest in this truth: nothing has been wasted. The long nights, the lonely seasons, the hidden years, they were all rehearsal for the revelation that is about to unfold. The reason the warfare has been so heavy is because the unveiling is near. Heaven has invested too much in your process to let you fall short now. There were nights, chosen one, when silence wrapped itself around you like a weight. You prayed, but heaven felt distant. You searched for signs, but all you heard was stillness. Yet the stillness was not absence, it was language. Heaven speaks most clearly in the quiet. When God hides his voice, he is drawing your heart closer. When he withholds answers, he is deepening your discernment. You thought he left you, but he was watching more closely than ever. The wilderness you walked through was not punishment, it was preservation. God led you away from noise so that you could learn the sound of his whisper. The crowd could not follow you there because revelation requires solitude. Every prophet, every vessel of power, every chosen one has walked through the wilderness before stepping into destiny. Do you remember how heavy the silence felt? You begged for a sign, for direction, for proof that you were still on the right path. But in that emptiness, heaven was training your spirit to see without sight, to trust without touch, to move without map. You were learning that God's silence is never rejection, it is invitation. The wilderness was not meant to break you, it was meant to birth clarity. The voice of God thundered once in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, saying, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." Stillness is not weakness, it is warfare. When the enemy cannot make you fear, he loses power. When you stand silent before chaos, heaven begins to speak on your behalf. Every battle you fought in the quiet has already been decided in your favor. You just haven't seen the manifestation yet. Chosen one, you are learning that divine timing often hides behind divine silence. The delay between prayer and answer is where faith is proven. It is in the waiting that strength matures and trust becomes unshakable. When you cannot trace his hand, you learn to trust his heart. You are not abandoned, you are being attuned. The wilderness is a sacred classroom. It is where false hopes die so true faith can live. God stripped away distractions so that his whisper could become undeniable to you. You were forced to listen differently, to perceive differently, to depend differently. You once needed confirmation from people, but now your confirmation comes directly from his presence. Do not despise the silence anymore. It was in that quiet that you discovered the language of peace. It was there that you found a strength that did not depend on applause. And though no one saw it, heaven recorded every tear you shed. Every prayer uttered through trembling lips became incense before the throne. Nothing was lost, nothing went unheard. The wilderness was also revelation. It taught you who you are not. You learned that you do not need validation to be valuable. You learned that rejection does not mean disqualification. You learned that even when everything else is stripped away, the Spirit of God within you remains. You discovered that your worth is anchored not in outcomes, but in obedience. And that is the greatest miracle of all. You did not quit. You kept believing even when believing hurt. You kept walking even when the path was invisible. You kept standing even when every force tried to knock you down. That persistence is proof of your calling. It is evidence that you are built of something eternal. There is something sacred about the wilderness that those who have never been there will never understand. It's where pride dies, where masks fall, where faith becomes fire. You have come out of that place refined, lighter, clearer, stronger. The silence you once feared has become your strength, and now, when the world shouts confusion, you know how to find stillness in the storm. Chosen one, the whisper that guided you in the dark will soon be the same voice that announces your miracle in the light. The same God who seemed silent is about to speak in undeniable power. The stillness was never the end, it was the setup for revelation. Now that you understand the value of silence, let this truth sink deep. God never wastes wilderness. Every barren place will soon bloom. The very path that broke you will lead others to healing. The quiet season was heaven teaching you to carry peace like a weapon. If these words resonate with your spirit, type this in the comments: I hear you, Lord. Write it not for me, but as a declaration that you recognize His whisper in your wilderness. Those 4 words are your acknowledgement that even when heaven feels silent, you are listening. They are a confession of faith that says, I may not see everything, but I still trust the one who leads me. Because the truth is this: you have never been alone. The whisper was always there, guiding, guarding, and growing you. You were never lost. You were being led. Chosen one, you have felt the breaking. You have lived through the moments that shattered your heart in silence. You have watched dreams collapse before your eyes, wondering if they would ever live again. But listen carefully. Breaking is not the end, it is the beginning. The crushing you experienced was not meant to destroy you, but to release what was hidden within you. The same way a seed must break for life to emerge, you had to break for purpose to flow. When you asked God to use you, heaven took you seriously. To be used, you had to be refined. You had to walk through fires that stripped you of pride, through storms that peeled away false strength, through losses that emptied your hands so they could hold what was real. The breaking was holy. It was heaven's surgery. God was not taking from you. He was making room for something greater. You see, divine transformation is never comfortable. Oil does not flow from olives until they are crushed. Diamonds do not shine until they are cut. Gold is not pure until it is refined by fire. The process hurts because the purpose is heavy. You were called to carry something weighty, something eternal, and the vessel that carries glory must be strong enough not to crack under pressure. Do you remember the moment you thought you couldn't endure one more blow? You cried out, God, where are you? But the silence that followed was not absence. It was the sound of heaven trusting your endurance. The Creator does not test what He does not believe in. Every blow you survived became proof that there is more in you than you ever imagined. There were pieces of your identity that could only be revealed through breaking. When everything fell apart, you discovered the unshakable core of who you are. The opinions of others lost power. The noise of the world faded. You found your voice not in victory but in vulnerability. You learned that strength is not about never falling, it is about rising every time you do. The writings of David in the Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18, remind us the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. You were never alone in your pain. God drew near in ways you did not recognize. When you sat surrounded by darkness, He sat beside you in silence. When you thought your tears were unseen, they were counted. When you felt abandoned, you were actually being held. Every heartbreak refined your compassion. Every loss deepened your wisdom. Every disappointment strengthened your discernment. You began to see differently, to feel differently, to move differently. Where once you sought validation, now you seek alignment. Where once you wanted speed, now you value divine timing. You no longer chase what glitters, because you have tasted what's genuine. Breaking has given you the gift of empathy. You now understand pain that others only judge. You carry healing because you carry history. The places where you bled are now the places where you bless. The scars you hide are the evidence that God restored what tried to destroy you. Nothing in you is wasted. Not one wound, not one tear, not one season. Sometimes, God allows things to fall apart because they were never built on the foundation He designed. When what you thought you needed collapsed, heaven was clearing away what couldn't go with you. The heartbreak was divine demolition, making space for something unshakable. You thought you lost stability, but you were gaining substance. And even now, though you may still feel fragments of what once was, there is a quiet strength growing within you. You no longer react to storms the same way because you've already survived worse. You no longer fear being broken because you've learned that every breaking brings birthing. You are not fragile, you are forged. Look at you now, still standing, still breathing, still believing. The world sees endurance. Heaven sees transformation. You are becoming someone who cannot be destroyed by circumstances because your roots are planted too deep in faith. The breaking taught you that God's hand is never cruel. It is careful. He breaks to rebuild, prunes to increase, refines to reveal. You are on the other side of what once felt unbearable. And though you carry memory of pain, you also carry mastery over it. You can now speak to others in darkness and say, "I've been there, but there is light." You are walking evidence that pain does not win. So, do not despise the breaking anymore. It was never the end of your story, it was the shaping of it. The very moments you wished away became the foundation of your destiny. Every crack in your heart became a window through which God's light could shine. You are not what happened to you. You are what rose from it. Chosen one, the breaking before the blessing is complete. You have endured the crushing, and heaven is about to pour oil from your life in measures you cannot contain. What was meant to bury you became the ground where you will bloom. There are eyes that have watched you from the shadows. Chosen one, people who once called you too much, too strange, too intense. They whispered, they doubted, they questioned how someone like you could possibly be called by God. But the truth is, heaven delights in choosing the unlikely. God often hides His greatest treasures in plain sight inside the very ones the world overlooks. Those who mocked you never understood that your silence was sacred. They saw you walking alone and thought you were forgotten, not realizing that you were in divine conversation with heaven itself. While they were chasing applause, you were learning obedience. While they sought recognition, you were seeking revelation. The difference will soon become impossible to ignore. The words of David in the Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5. Reveal this mystery, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. The anointing always attracts both honor and observation. There are people assigned to witness your rising, not to celebrate it, but to see what divine favor looks like up close. God will not remove them. He will keep them close enough to watch the miracle they said would never happen. Your table will be set before them, and they will realize too late that what they tried to bury was a seed. Beloved, the season of being misunderstood is closing. Heaven is unveiling you in front of the very ones who underestimated your resilience. And when that happens, walk humbly. Do not gloat. Do not retaliate. Simply shine, because your glow will speak louder than your words ever could. God will use your transformation as testimony, not for revenge, but for revelation. Every miracle carries a purpose beyond the moment it awakens faith in those who witness it. Your elevation is not for ego, it is for evidence. There are souls attached to your story. When they see you rise from the ashes, something in them will believe that they can too. You are becoming a living sermon, an unspoken gospel written in scars and triumph. Imagine a candle in a dark room. It does not argue with the darkness, it simply burns. That's you. Every act of kindness, every quiet prayer, every moment you refused to surrender was light pushing back the shadows. And now, heaven will lift that light higher so others may find their way because you refuse to go out. But chosen one, as your light grows, so will your reach. And as your reach grows, so does your responsibility. The voice you carry, the words that flow from your spirit, they are not just inspiration, they are lifelines for someone hanging on the edge. If these messages have been nourishment to your spirit, consider helping the light travel farther. Every share is a ripple, every like is a spark, every subscription is another soul drawn into divine alignment. And if your heart feels stirred to go beyond that, to sow into the soil of this ministry, then give as you are led. Not out of pressure, but out of purpose. Think of it as watering the very tree that once sheltered you. Every donation, every small act of generosity becomes a seed that multiplies miracles in others. Just as someone once carried the message that reached you, you now carry the privilege to extend it forward. You may not realize it, but the smallest gesture can ignite transformation in someone miles away. Your support keeps this flame alive so that messages like this can continue reaching those walking through their darkest nights. Together, we are building not an audience, but an altar, a space where faith meets fire, where broken hearts find hope again. Like the river that never keeps what it receives, pour out what you can and watch how heaven replenishes you. Every act of giving is an echo of divine flow. You cannot outgive God, you can only outgrow fear. There will come a day when those who once pitied you will sit silently, watching the evidence of God's hand upon your life. They will see peace where chaos once lived, joy where sorrow once lingered, and abundance where lack once spoke loud. That is the miracle of reversal, and it's already in motion. So, let the world see what faith looks like when it refuses to die. Stand tall, walk softly, and shine brightly, and your presence is a prophecy. What God is about to do through you will not only shock them, it will remind them that divine favor cannot be fabricated, only bestowed. If these words have touched you deeply, help this message reach another wandering soul, like the shepherd who leaves the 99 to find the one. Your simple act of sharing could be the reason someone rediscovers hope tonight. The wheel is turning. Chosen one. What once felt motionless is suddenly shifting in your favor. The tides that seemed stuck are beginning to reverse. The very winds that once opposed you are now carrying you forward. It is not coincidence. It is divine reversal in motion. Heaven has spoken, and every force that tried to hold you back must now release its grip. You have been through enough to recognize the difference between random chance and sacred order. This is not luck, it is the law of heaven at work. Every tear you cried was a seed, and now the harvest has begun. You are walking into a season where divine justice will balance the scales. Things that seemed permanently broken are being restored. Doors that were shut for years are beginning to open as if they were waiting for your arrival. There is no enemy strong enough to resist a shift commanded by God. You may not have noticed it yet, but alignments are forming in the background. People, opportunities, and resources are being positioned by unseen hands. The same way the morning sun cannot be stopped by the night, your destiny cannot be delayed any longer. The story of Joseph long ago was not written merely as history, it was a prophecy. What was meant to harm him became the very path to his promotion. What others used as betrayal, heaven used as transportation. And that same principle is now unfolding in your life. The ancient word recorded in the book of Genesis, chapter 50, verse 20, declares you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done. The saving of many lives. This is not just a verse, it is the mirror of your current moment. What was sent to wound you has become the womb of your witness. Chosen one. Divine reversal is never partial, it is total. When God turns the tables, He doesn't just fix what was broken, He multiplies it. What was stolen from you will be returned sevenfold. What was lost in confusion will reappear clothed in clarity. Where they tried to bury your name, heaven is now carving it into destiny. Remember the moments when you thought the battle had won, the times when you stood surrounded, unsure if you could take another blow. Those were the turning points disguised as endings. Heaven was waiting for you to exhaust your own strength so divine power could take the lead. You are no longer surviving by your might, you are being carried by grace. Reversal comes quietly at first. It begins with a small sign, peace where anxiety once ruled, laughter where tears once fell. Then, suddenly, everything shifts at once. People who left begin to reappear. Situations you thought were dead start showing signs of life. The favor that was once withheld begins to chase you down. And through it all, God is orchestrating timing so perfect it could only be heaven. He is reversing every lie spoken against you. He is clearing your name in rooms where you were misjudged. He is restoring credibility where slander tried to stain you. He is turning what was used to humiliate you into evidence of His faithfulness. You will soon look back at the very places that caused you pain and see altars of praise instead. You will walk through doors you once knocked on with trembling, this time welcomed with honor. The people who once spoke against you will have no choice but to bear witness to your elevation. Not because you fought them, but because you forgave them. That forgiveness released the final key. The tables turned the moment you chose peace over pride. Chosen one. Divine reversal is not coming, it has already begun. The first ripples are in motion. Can you feel it, that stirring deep inside your spirit? That quiet sense of change, it's the sound of heaven rearranging everything for your good. The same voice that called Lazarus from the tomb is now calling your destiny from dormancy. What was asleep in you is awakening. What was stagnant is flowing. What was overlooked is being recognized. You are not returning to what was lost. You are being elevated into something entirely new. Take a deep breath and realize this: the fight is shifting from your hands to God's. You do not need to prove your worth anymore. Your peace will speak louder than your defense. The evidence of your faith will become visible through the unfolding of favor. And when the reversal is complete, remember this truth: it was never about your enemies. It was about your endurance. God used opposition to reveal strength you never knew you carried. The lesson was the treasure. The pain was the preparation. Now, as you stand on the edge of this new chapter, release gratitude into the atmosphere. Whisper your thanks for every setback that led to this setup, because what's ahead will make sense of what's behind. If this word stirs something deep within your spirit, type 888 in the comments below. Not as superstition, but as prophetic alignment. 8 is the number of new beginnings, and your life is about to testify to that truth. When you write it, let it be your declaration. My reversal is in motion. You are agreeing with heaven that the old cycle has ended, and the new has begun. Chosen one, your table is being set. Your name is being remembered. The reversal is not coming, it's happening now. Chosen one, there are promises written over your life that were spoken before your first breath. Heaven did not begin planning your destiny when you prayed. It was already designed long before you arrived on this earth. Every promise that has seemed delayed or distant is not forgotten. It is preserved. You are stepping into a moment where old words are waking up, like dormant seeds pushing through the soil of time. You have often wondered, did I really hear God? Did I misread the signs? But heaven has not forgotten a single syllable spoken over you. Prophecies do not expire, they wait. Every divine promise carries its own appointed hour, and yours is drawing near. The scrolls that held your name, the decrees that marked your calling, they are being unsealed. The prophet Habakkuk once received a vision so powerful that it burned in his bones, yet he was told to wait for it. It is revealed in the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2, verse 3, where it is written, "For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay." These ancient words still echo through your spirit today. The vision may have lingered, but it has not died. It has simply been maturing beneath the surface. There is a divine rhythm to destiny. Some seasons are for sowing, others for silence, and then there is the season of sudden fulfillment, the one you are stepping into now. Heaven is releasing promises like rain. The things that once seemed impossible are aligning so effortlessly that you will know it was never your striving but God's orchestration. Every delay you endured was calibration. Every disappointment redirected your steps closer to divine coordinates. God has been aligning not just opportunities, but also people, those who will walk beside you without jealousy. Those who will pray for you in secret. Those who carry keys you didn't know you needed. You were never waiting for the right moment. The right moment was waiting for the right you. Chosen one. There are words spoken over you that even you have forgotten. Perhaps they were whispered years ago in a prayer meeting, or written in a journal now buried somewhere in your memory. Heaven has not forgotten. Angels have guarded those promises like sentinels. And now, as the divine clock strikes its appointed hour, those words are stirring again. Prophetic fulfillment often comes wrapped in ordinary events. You may not recognize the beginning when it starts. It won't always arrive with thunder or applause. Sometimes, the first sign of breakthrough is a quiet peace in your spirit. Sometimes it's the sudden end of confusion or a new strength to step where fear once lived. Watch for the subtle, because that's often how heaven moves before the visible manifestation. There is a reason the promise took time. If it had come earlier, you might have treated it like a reward. Now you understand it as responsibility. You have grown into the kind of vessel that can sustain blessing without breaking under it. The delay has deepened your character, anchored your humility, and sharpened your discernment. You can now recognize counterfeit opportunities that once would have deceived you. And when the fulfillment comes, and it will carry confirmation beyond your imagination. Doors will open without you knocking. People will speak your name in rooms you've never entered. Ideas, songs, books, visions, and projects that once seemed impossible will suddenly find momentum, not because you forced them, but because heaven has declared, now. Do not let impatience steal your joy in this in-between space. You are standing between prophecy and manifestation, the sacred bridge called faith. Faith is not denial of delay, it is trust in divine timing. The waiting was never wasted, it was weaving strength into your spirit. There are angels already moving to ensure that what was promised finds its way to you. The words written about your life are not just encouragement, they are instructions written into the architecture of eternity. And now those words are being read aloud in heaven again. Each syllable releases power. Each decree calls your name into visibility on a chosen one. This is why the warfare has intensified recently. The enemy always senses when a prophecy is about to manifest. Resistance increases not because you are failing, but because fulfillment is near. Stay steady. The storm you feel is not destruction, it's the final push before delivery. You are standing in the hour where destiny begins to breathe. What was once only a dream will soon become your daily reality. The scrolls of heaven are opening, and the words they contain are not new, they are ancient promises coming alive in real time. Do not fear missing your moment. You are in it. Every step you take now is on holy ground. The vision is not late. It was always time to this exact heartbeat of eternity. Chosen one. There comes a moment when heaven speaks your name so loudly that the earth must respond. You are entering that moment now. For too long, you have walked in quiet purpose, unseen and uncelebrated. But heaven has always known you. You were never hidden from God, only hidden for God. Every unseen act of faith, every prayer whispered behind closed doors, every tear shed in surrender has built an altar that now reaches heaven's throne. When God announces a name, it is not merely spoken, it is established. The same voice that called light out of darkness is the voice now calling your name into visibility. You have not been overlooked. You have been preserved. The season of obscurity has been sacred. In the silence, your roots grew deep enough to hold the weight of what is coming. Now, heaven is shifting you from being prepared in private to being revealed in purpose. It is written in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 1. But now, this is what the Lord says, He who created you, Jacob, He who formed you, Israel. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. These words are not ancient history. They are alive in you. When heaven calls you by name, it marks you as untouchable by the plans of darkness. You belong to the one who spoke galaxies into existence. And when he calls you, creation itself adjusts to make room for your emergence. You may feel unqualified for what is ahead. But divine calling is never based on qualifications, it is anchored in obedience. Moses stuttered, yet he was called to confront Pharaoh. David was forgotten in a field, yet he was anointed to rule nations. Esther was orphaned, yet she carried royal favor. And you, quiet, tested, underestimated, you carry the same spark of divine appointment. Heaven delights in using what the world dismisses. For years, you have been faithful in small things. You have served when no one clapped, prayed when no one noticed, and obeyed even when it cost you. God saw it all. Every hidden yes you gave has been echoing in heaven. And now, the time of announcement has come. The world is about to meet the version of you that heaven has always known. When God announces your name, He also exposes your purpose. You will begin to see divine patterns in what once seemed random. The people who left, the jobs that ended, the doors that closed, all of them were orchestration, clearing the stage for your appointed unveiling. Nothing that happened was wasted. It was all woven into the script of your destiny. And make no mistake, when heaven announces your name, opposition will notice. Every level of elevation comes with its own noise. But you will not need to fight. You will simply stand. The same voice that calls you forth will silence every false one that rises against you. What once sought to hinder you will now highlight you. This unveiling will not be noisy. It will be undeniable. The fruit of your faith will speak for itself. You won't need to prove your calling, it will prove you. Miracles, favor, and unexpected alignments will begin to testify on your behalf. People will ask, how did this happen so suddenly? But you will know it was never sudden, it was simply the moment when the unseen became seen. Chosen one, when God calls your name, even time obeys, delays dissolve. What was held back begins to flow. Opportunities that seemed impossible begin to chase you down. It is as though the world had been waiting for you without realizing it. You will begin to notice doors opening without explanation, hearts softening toward you, ideas and resources aligning in perfect rhythm. These are not coincidences, they are confirmation. But as your name is announced, remember humility. The purpose of promotion is not display, it is deployment. You are being called into visibility not for applause, but for assignment. The same God who raises you will sustain you, as long as you remember who sent you. Stay anchored in gratitude, clothed in grace, and guided by the still small voice that has carried you this far. There is a sacred beauty in being called by name. It means heaven has decided that the time for hiding has ended. You are not just recognized, you are released. Everything you have endured was building to this unveiling. The delay was the cocoon. Now comes the emergence. The wings you grew in darkness are about to carry you into light. Walk forward with confidence, not in your own power, but in the authority of the one who formed you. You have been summoned, chosen, and sealed. Heaven has called you by name, and nothing on earth or in hell can unwrite what has been decreed. Can you feel it? Chosen one. The atmosphere around you has changed. What once felt heavy now feels charged, as if the air itself carries electricity. The shift is not in your imagination, it is spiritual. Heaven has moved from observation to operation. The plans that were being written above you are now being released around you. Everything unseen is beginning to rearrange in your favor. The spiritual atmosphere is alive with movement. What was stagnant is now stirred. Angels who once stood waiting for divine command have received their orders. You are walking through an invisible transition, the hand of God turning pages in your story. The prayers you thought had gone unanswered were simply waiting for this exact moment to mature. You may not see it yet, but you can feel it. The sudden peace that doesn't make sense. The urge to prepare even though nothing looks ready. The strange calm before the miracle. These are signs of alignment. Something is happening behind the veil, and though your eyes cannot see it, your spirit recognizes it. The apostle wrote long ago to the believers in Corinth, in the second book of Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 7, "For we walk by faith, not by sight." This was not a poetic phrase, it was instruction. Sight is limited to the visible, but faith perceives the movement of the invisible. You have learned to sense God even when you could not see Him. And now that sensitivity is what allows you to discern the current shift. Chosen one. Heaven is breathing over your circumstances. The dry bones of forgotten dreams are rattling again. The winds of resurrection are moving through the barren places of your life. You are about to witness proof that the unseen is more powerful than anything visible. The world measures power by what can be touched. Heaven measures it by what can be trusted. Faith is heaven's currency, and you have been paying with every act of obedience. Every moment you chose hope over despair. The reward is coming not in the form of coincidence, but in divine convergence. You are standing under an open window of favor. Things will begin to align faster than you can explain. Conversations will fall into place. Doors will open without knocking. And people will appear with exactly what you prayed for long ago. You may even feel slightly overwhelmed, but that is how acceleration feels when it comes from God. The shift you feel is both external and internal. The external signs are the movement of opportunities and divine appointments. But the internal shift, that deep, unshakable peace, is what anchors it all. Heaven's atmosphere is not just around you, it is within you. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is breathing inside you, bringing dormant potential back to life. You are stepping into a time when miracles will no longer feel distant. They will become your daily reality. But remember, chosen one, with every spiritual shift comes spiritual responsibility. Stay in tune with the whisper that guides you. The same way sailors adjust their sails to catch the wind, you must stay flexible to divine direction. God is not just changing your situation, He is changing you to fit your next season. Sometimes the first evidence of a shift is discomfort. You may feel stretched, restless, or uncertain, but that is only because your spirit has outgrown the place it once fit. The old rhythm no longer matches your new season. Heaven is expanding your capacity for greater things. And when confusion tries to return, when doubt whispers, nothing is happening. Remember this: roots grow silently before they break the soil. Growth does not always announce itself loudly. It manifests suddenly after seasons of stillness. What feels invisible is actually inevitable. The atmosphere around your life is humming with divine energy. You are aligned with timing you didn't even know existed. What others will call sudden success is simply the manifestation of long-hidden obedience. The shift is not something you chase. It is something you recognize. If this word resonates in your soul, take a moment to respond, not as routine but as agreement. Type "I feel it." Write it as a declaration that you sense the spiritual shift within and around you. Let it be your acknowledgement that you are aware of heaven's movement. You are not waiting for signs. You are living inside one. Because this is the moment the unseen begins to speak. The atmosphere is no longer neutral, it's prophetic. Heaven is active, and your life is the proof. Chosen one, the miracle that is forming around you is not small. It is vast, woven through layers of divine timing, invisible hands, and the echoes of prayers long forgotten. What you are about to see will not just surprise others, it will silence even your own doubts. You will look at what unfolds and realize that no human effort could have orchestrated it. Heaven itself has written this chapter. For years, you carried promises like seeds in your pocket, believing, hoping, watering them with tears, and it seemed as though nothing would ever sprout. But the soil has shifted, and now, suddenly, green begins to break through the dust. The miracle will not tiptoe into your life, it will burst through, radiant and undeniable. You will recognize it not by its size, but by its signature peace, order, and timing that make no earthly sense. The angelic record keepers have written your endurance in heaven's archives. The long nights, the silent prayers, the times you chose forgiveness when bitterness seemed easier, all of it became currency in the unseen realm. God never wastes obedience. Every small act of faith was a stone laid in the foundation of your miracle. Now the structure stands ready, and heaven is about to unveil what has been under construction all along. Even the seasons that felt empty were sacred scaffolds. Every unanswered prayer was a blueprint, every delay a hidden design. You were never waiting for God to move, He was waiting for the masterpiece within you to take shape, for your spirit to be strong enough to stand beneath the weight of fulfilled promise. The Gospel of Luke, chapter 1, verse 37, declares this truth with timeless power. For with God nothing shall be impossible. These words are not theory, they are a map. They remind you that impossibility is only the illusion between instruction and manifestation. What looks closed is simply waiting for divine command. Your miracle will carry a ripple effect. It will not only elevate your life but ignite hope in others who watched you stand when you had every reason to fall. There are people whose faith will return because of your testimony. You are not just receiving a blessing, you are becoming one. But as miracles unfold, remember light must travel. When a flame is lit, it is not meant to remain hidden under glass. It must be passed from one candle to another until the whole room glows. This message, these words, this very stream of encouragement, if they have touched your spirit, let them travel. Share them as you would share a spark in a dark forest. You never know whose night you will light. Every like, every share, every subscription, these are not numbers, they are lanterns. They extend the glow of faith across digital miles, reaching hearts you may never meet. And if your spirit feels stirred to give, to sow into this flow, then do so as one planting a seed into fertile soil. Think of it as placing another brick on the bridge of light that connects wounded souls back to hope. Donating is not about transaction. It is about participation. When you give, you become part of the miracles movement. You become one of the unseen hands that lifts another person out of despair. Just as someone's generosity carried this word to you, your giving will carry it to the next chosen one still wandering in the dark, waiting for confirmation that God still speaks. Do it from sincerity, not from guilt. Give because you recognize the divine exchange blessing passing from heart to heart, light to light, story to story. Some miracles come from prayer, others come from partnership. And in this unfolding story, both are needed. The miracle ahead of you will not only change circumstances, it will change perception. Those who once labeled you as forgotten will call you favored. Those who pitied you will ask for your wisdom. You will no longer explain what happened. Your peace will explain it for you, because real miracles don't shout, they shine. And when that moment arrives, when everything you hoped for begins to align, stay humble. The glory belongs to the one who wrote your name in the script of destiny. Remember that every blessing carries purpose. Use it to build, to lift, to speak life. The miracle was never meant to make you greater. It was meant to make God known through you. If these words have found a home in your heart, then nurture them. Let them inspire you to keep this current of light flowing by sharing it, by speaking it, by standing as living evidence that faith still works. You are part of a global tapestry of believers, threads of light woven across nations, holding one another up through unseen strands of grace. And as you do, know this, your miracle will echo far beyond you. It will awaken others to the truth that with God, nothing is too broken to be restored, nothing too delayed to be delivered, nothing too lost to be found. Chosen one, the table is being set. You can almost feel it, the quiet rearranging of circumstances, the subtle shifting of people and opportunities, the still but certain movement of divine hands preparing what has been promised. You are standing in the fulfillment of Psalm 23:5, though you may not yet see it with your eyes. You can feel it deep within, like the faint scent of bread before it rises in the oven, the warmth of something near completion. The words of David in the Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5, declare, "You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows." This is not only comfort, it is prophecy. It means that God Himself is the host of your restoration. The same voices that whispered against you will one day watch as you dine in peace. They will not be removed. They will be restrained. For what God sets before you cannot be stolen, sabotaged, or silenced. You have endured many things that made no sense at the time, betrayals that cut deep, friendships that dissolved without warning, opportunities that crumbled just as they began. Yet each loss, each breaking, each exit was a rearrangement for this table now being prepared. What you perceived as rejection was heaven's redirection, clearing the chairs so that only the right ones would remain. This table is more than physical blessing, it is spiritual vindication. It is God saying, I saw what you endured. I watched how you refused to curse when you could have, how you chose prayer over revenge, forgiveness over fury. The seat you hold at this table is not earned by performance, but granted by perseverance. You stayed faithful when no one saw, and now heaven will honor you publicly for what you survived privately. At this table, your enemies are not there to destroy you, they are there to witness. Their presence is part of the testimony. For what good is vindication if those who doubted never see the proof? God's justice is poetic. He does not erase your enemies. He educates them through your restoration. But remember this when you sit at that divine table. Do not gloat. Do not look across at those who wronged you with pride. Look at them with peace. For your calm will preach louder than your words. The power of your testimony will not be found in your voice, but in your posture resting in grace, radiating the serenity that only God's presence can produce. The oil that flows over your head in this season is not just for healing, it is for consecration. It marks you as one chosen not merely to receive, but to represent. The overflow that follows will not end with you. It will spill into every area of your influence. Family, finances, relationships, even your words, everything will carry the fragrance of divine favor. And though this table is a place of peace, it is also a place of preparation. New blessings require new stewardship. God is not only honoring you, He is entrusting you. You have proven faithful with little. Now you will be made ruler over much. Yet the higher the table, the deeper the humility required to sit at it. The same fire that once broke you has refined you for this feast. You no longer hunger for validation because you are being fed by revelation. The applause of people cannot compare to the satisfaction of divine approval. You have learned that success without peace is emptiness, and that peace without God's presence is impossible. At this table, every lesson you learned in pain will become wisdom that feeds others. You will speak from a place of knowing, not theory. Your scars will become stories that strengthen those still fighting their way through the fire. That is the beauty of divine vindication. It transforms survival into service. Chosen one, this moment is not revenge, it is redemption. The banquet of blessing is not to prove others wrong, but to prove God right. He said He would deliver you, and He has. He said He would make a way, and He did. He said He would restore what was lost. And now, even the things you forgot you lost are finding their way back to you. You may wonder, why does God choose to bless me in front of those who hurt me? Because He wants them to see what grace looks like when it wears the face of mercy. He wants them to witness that what they meant for harm became holy ground. And perhaps, seeing you whole will soften their hearts to seek Him too. So sit, not as one triumphant over others, but as one who has been lifted by grace. Eat from peace, drink from gratitude, and let your presence at that table glorify the one who set it. You are proof that faith outlasts falsehood, that endurance outshines envy, and that love always wins. The table is ready, the oil is flowing, and your cup is already beginning to overflow. Chosen one, the cup in your hands is no longer empty. The season of scraping the bottom, of stretching the last drop of strength just to make it through, has ended. You have been faithful with the fragments, and now the Father is filling your cup again, not halfway and not modestly, but until it overflows. There is a sound in the Spirit, a sound like rushing water, like a river breaking through a dam. That is the sound of release. What heaven had stored for you in silence is now pouring forth in motion. You are stepping into a divine overflow, where blessings no longer trickle but surge. The prophet Malachi recorded this promise for the faithful. It is written in the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says the Lord Almighty, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that there will not be room enough to store it. This is not a distant scripture, it is your living reality. The floodgates are opening over you. Everything that was once delayed, everything you thought had dried up, is about to rush back multiplied. Overflow is a shift in identity. It changes how you move, how you speak, how you give. You no longer pray from desperation, but from partnership. You no longer ask for just enough. You now expect more than enough, not from greed, but from grace. Because abundance is not arrogance when it's used for others' healing. It is holy stewardship. This outpouring will touch every area of your life. Some will see financial favor, resources flowing from unexpected places. Others will experience relational restoration, connections once lost returning in peace. And some will receive spiritual expansion, a new depth of understanding, a sharper prophetic sight, a voice that carries new authority. However it comes, recognize it as the same river, taking different paths but sourced from one divine spring. Chosen one. Be mindful of how you carry overflow. It is not meant for hoarding but for hosting. God is making your life a vessel large enough to hold what others cannot yet receive. That is why your capacity was tested for so long, so that when abundance comes, it will not drown you, but sustain you. This is why generosity will become your language in this season, because those who overflow understand that rivers die when they refuse to flow. Keep your heart open, your hands ready, your spirit alert. Heaven's math is multiplication through movement. The moment you give, you make room for more. And as this overflow begins, know that not everyone will understand it. Some will question how blessings found you. Others will assume it was easy. They do not know the cost of your obedience, the lonely nights, the surrendered dreams, the patience forged in silence. Let their misunderstanding be your reminder: God rewards faithfulness, not performance. This blessing will not only fill your cup, it will redefine your measure. You once prayed for survival, now you will pray for impact. You once asked for provision, now you will fund purpose. The same mouth that once cried in despair will soon speak words that sustain others. The overflow also brings peace. You will no longer live in the anxiety of what if, because your heart will rest in even if. You will not chase after blessings. Blessings will chase after you, like waves that cannot stop once the tide turns. Favor will find you repeatedly, relentlessly, purposefully. Even in moments of quiet, the stream will not stop. God's abundance does not depend on noise. It flows through consistency. The same grace that found you in famine will keep you in fullness. Because overflow is not a one-time miracle, it is a lifestyle for those who stay connected to the source. As you walk in this season, be ready for divine surprises. Ideas will come in your dreams. Solutions will appear through conversations. Hidden talents will awaken like long, silent instruments tuning themselves to heaven's rhythm. You will recognize God's fingerprints on details so small you might have missed them before. When you see the evidence of overflow, don't shrink back. Don't feel unworthy. Remember, you were prepared for this. Your stewardship in scarcity trained you to carry abundance with humility. What you receive is not luck, it is legacy. You are walking in the reward of endurance. If this word resonates deep within your soul, type 444 in the comments. Write it as a declaration that you are aligned with heaven's flow. The number 4 symbolizes foundation and divine establishment. By typing it, you're affirming my life is built on God's abundance, and my overflow will bless others. Let it be your public amen to what heaven is already pouring into your cup. Chosen one, your season of lack has ended. The river is flowing. The floodgates are open. Your cup is no longer just full, it is spilling into every corner of your destiny. Chosen one, you are being clothed in something sacred, something that cannot be purchased, replicated, or stolen. Heaven calls it the mantle of glory. It is more than favor, it is divine endorsement. It is not the shine of pride, but the radiance of purpose. This mantle announces that your wilderness season has ended and your authority has begun. It is the visible mark of God's invisible hand upon your life. When a mantle rests upon someone, the atmosphere around them begins to change. Conversations shift. Environments bend toward destiny. Those who once dismissed you begin to sense something different. They may not understand it, but they cannot deny it. That's what divine glory does. It speaks before you do. The sacred text recounts a moment when such a mantle was released. It is written in the first book of Samuel, chapter 16, verse 13. So Samuel took the horn of oil and anointed him in the presence of his brothers. And from that day on, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon David. David's anointing did not make him instantly famous, it made him faithful. After the oil flowed, he returned to tending sheep. His calling was confirmed, but his crown was still in process. Likewise, you have already been anointed for what is ahead, even if you are still tending quiet fields. This mantle of glory does not erase your humanity. It redeems it. It takes the broken parts of your story and weaves them into wisdom. It takes your mistakes and turns them into messages. It takes your weaknesses and makes them windows where light can shine through. Glory is not perfection, it is reflection. The more surrendered you become, the more His presence is revealed through you. You may have noticed recently that old battles no longer drain you the way they used to. That is because you've outgrown them. The weight that once felt crushing now feels light, not because it disappeared, but because your shoulders have strengthened. The glory resting on you expands your capacity. What once overwhelmed you now bows beneath your peace. The mantle you carry will draw attention, but not all attention will be kind. Light always exposes both admiration and resistance. Yet remember, this mantle is not fragile. It was tested in fire before it ever touched you. Every trial you faced prepared you to wear it without fear. Every heartbreak taught you humility. Every delay taught you discernment. You have been shaped into someone who can walk in power and still bow in reverence. Glory is heavy because it carries responsibility. You are now a carrier of divine influence. Your words carry weight in unseen realms. Your prayers move things that others cannot move. You may not even realize it yet, but the atmosphere responds when you speak. Heaven has entrusted you with authority not to control, but to comfort, not to dominate, but to deliver. There is something sacred about those who carry glory. They glow differently. It's not visible to the natural eye, but the spiritual world recognizes it. Darkness recoils when you enter a room. Fear loses its grip when you open your mouth. That is not ego, it is evidence. You have become a living altar, a walking vessel of divine fire. Chosen one, The mantle of glory also carries a quietness about it. Those clothed in true glory do not need to announce themselves. They do not demand validation. They move with calm confidence because they know who sent them. You will find yourself speaking less but saying more. You will discern when to act and when to wait. Your power will no longer come from striving, but from stillness. You will begin to notice unusual grace in ordinary moments. A conversation that once would have drained you now flows effortlessly. A task that once intimidated you now feels natural. This is the ease of divine empowerment, the evidence that the Spirit has equipped you beyond human limitation. You are no longer operating from your own reservoir. You are drawing from a limitless well. But this mantle is not for display. It is for impact. God places glory on you not to elevate your image, but to magnify His. You will find that the more you give Him credit, the stronger the anointing flows. Humility keeps the glory pure and pride pollutes it. That is why you had to be crushed first, so that when the oil came, it would not spoil. You are stepping into the same rhythm that marked the great servants of old. Like David, you will lead not from a throne of pride, but from a heart of worship. Like Esther, you will carry beauty not for admiration, but for intercession. Like Elijah, your words will call down fire not to destroy some, but to demonstrate that God is still near. Those who see you may say you have changed, but the truth is you have been revealed. The real you, the one heaven always knew, is now stepping forward. The mantle of glory is not something added to you, it is something awakened within you. You may feel the weight of it, the responsibility, the awareness, the sacred trembling of being chosen. Do not resist it. Let it rest upon you fully. You were shaped for this. Heaven has trusted you with something many desire, but few can sustain: the ability to shine without burning out, to lead without losing love, to carry glory without forgetting grace. From this point forward, your steps are no longer random, they are royal. Every move you make, every word you speak, carries consequence in eternity. Walk carefully, but confidently. For the mantle that rests on you is not temporary. It is permanent evidence that heaven's light has found its vessel. Chosen one, the time of exchange has come. The great exchange, when heaven begins to return everything that was taken, multiplied, refined, and renewed. You have walked through loss and found lessons. You have surrendered dreams only to discover destiny waiting behind them. This is the moment when God begins to trade your ashes for beauty, your mourning for joy, your fatigue for divine strength. There is something sacred about the way God restores. He does not merely return what was lost, He transforms it. The old form no longer fits, so He gives you something greater, shaped for your new season. Every heartbreak has become holy currency, every wound an opening through which light now enters. You were not emptied to be left barren, you were emptied so that heaven could fill you with something far more eternal. It was declared through the prophet Isaiah, in the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3. To bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. These words are not mere poetry, they are transaction. This is divine economics, someone where pain is never wasted and surrender is always rewarded. And you see? Chosen one, every time you let go of something in obedience, you opened a portal for transformation. When you forgave what seemed unforgivable, heaven recorded it as an offering. When you stayed kind in the face of cruelty, the Spirit counted it as sacrifice. Every hidden act of grace you extended became a deposit in your account of restoration. And now, the balance is being released. Restoration is not about returning to how things were, it is about stepping into what they were always meant to be. God does not restore you to your past, He restores you to your purpose. The pain was the pruning that made room for deeper fruit. The loss you thought was final was only the trimming before new growth. You may not even recognize yourself lately. Your desires have changed. Your voice carries a new tone. The things that used to break you now barely shake you. That is evidence of transformation. God has been exchanging the temporary for the eternal within you. You are lighter, clearer, wiser. Your spirit no longer craves what once distracted it. The great exchange always begins in the unseen before it becomes visible. Sometimes the first sign of restoration is release, a gentle parting from things that no longer belong. Old relationships, expired responsibilities, outdated versions of yourself begin to fall away. It can feel lonely at first, but it is holy space being cleared for the new. Like a gardener pruning branches that once bore fruit. God cuts not because He is cruel, but because He sees the next bloom. Chosen one. This exchange is not a single event, it is a process. You will notice pieces of blessing returning in waves. A lost opportunity will suddenly reopen. A creative idea that had gone silent will awaken. A connection that once drifted away will return. This time healed. Each wave of restoration will carry both memory and meaning. You will realize that what was lost was never truly gone. It was being transformed in waiting. There will also be quiet justice. The things you endured unfairly will find divine correction. God does not forget tears nor overlook the unjust. But His justice is not revenge, it is redemption. He repays not with vengeance, but with victory that teaches compassion. You will look at those who hurt you and feel no hatred, only holy distance and peace. That is the exchange of bitterness for wisdom. The great exchange also takes place inside your heart. Where anxiety once lived, peace now reigns. Where fear once whispered, faith now sings. Where exhaustion once weighed you down, purpose now lifts you higher. You are being filled not just with blessings, but with balance. You are learning to move at the rhythm of grace instead of the rush of worry. There will be moments when you feel the divine hand rearranging your life again. Do not resist. Each shift is part of the exchange. God is refining what you carry so that your glory will not spoil under pressure. The crown placed upon your head must rest on the shoulders of a spirit trained in patience. Chosen one, take this truth into your spirit: nothing you lost was wasted. Every detour was destiny in disguise. You could not see it then, but heaven was rewriting your story in real time. What you thought was an ending was the seed of a better beginning. You are entering a season of reversal so complete that you will forget the language of lack. The echo of sorrow will fade, replaced by laughter that rises without permission. You will wake up one day soon and realize the grief has lifted. Not because the past changed, but because your heart has. The great exchange is heaven's way of saying, you did not lose, you invested. And now, the returns are arriving. You traded bitterness for wisdom, tears for testimony. Waiting for worship, and heaven calls that profit. Chosen one, stand still and feel it, the holy balance being restored, the weight of glory settling upon you. The ashes have fallen away. What remains is beauty that cannot be burned again. Chosen one, your story is about to echo far beyond you. The miracle that began in whispers will soon become a sound that cannot be silenced. Heaven has written your testimony not just for your healing, but for others' awakening. Every scar you carry, every tear that fell unseen, every prayer that rose from trembling lips, these have become words in the divine manuscript of your life. a story that will shake hearts and stir souls. The sacred text says in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 11, "They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by their testimony." This is the law of victory, not by weapons, but by witness. Your testimony is a weapon wrapped in wonder. It pierces despair and lights up darkness. The same pain that tried to bury you has become the soil from which your power grows. Do you remember those seasons when silence felt like punishment? When prayers returned as echoes, heaven was not ignoring you, it was recording you. Every moment of faith, every act of endurance, every yes whispered through tears has been woven into a narrative that will soon release breakthrough for others. God never wastes a story. He redeems it, refines it, and then reveals it at the perfect moment. That moment is now. Your testimony will not stay local. It will travel. Words have wings when anointed by heaven. Like seeds carried by the wind, your story will land in hearts you've never met, souls fighting the same storms you once survived. Someone will breathe again because you spoke. Someone will stand again because you stood. You may not realize it yet, but the way you endured has become prophetic. You preached long before you ever opened your mouth. Your endurance became a sermon that heaven is now amplifying. Every obstacle you overcame is now fuel for someone else's faith. When you share what God has done, you are not boasting, you are broadcasting hope. You are testifying that divine mercy still moves, that grace still restores, that light still finds its way into impossible rooms. So, don't hide your victory out of humility, reveal it out of gratitude. Let others taste the sweetness of survival. And as you share, remember, testimony is not just told, it is transmitted. Every like, every comment, every share becomes an echo in the spiritual atmosphere. When you amplify this word, you are not promoting a message, you are extending a miracle. There is someone right now scrolling through despair who will stop because of your light. You may never know their name, but heaven does. If these messages have spoken to your soul, if you have felt seen, understood, strengthened, then help the river keep flowing. Your voice matters. Your participation matters. A like is a flicker of acknowledgement. A share is a torch passed forward. And a subscription is a promise to stay connected to the flow of faith that feeds your spirit. You are not just a listener, you are part of the movement. And if your heart feels led to give, to sow into this message, let your giving be like watering a field that once fed you. Every donation is a ripple of generosity that touches lives beyond sight. Think of it as lighting candles in unseen rooms. The gift leaves your hand, but it never leaves your impact. You are not funding a platform, you are fueling a ministry of restoration. The beauty of testimony is that it multiplies. The more you share it, the more power it carries. Every heart it touches becomes another flame in a spreading fire. This is how heaven expands, one spark of obedience at a time. Chosen one. Your testimony will shake those who thought you were finished. It will awaken those who gave up on faith. It will soften those hardened by disappointment. But most of all, it will remind you that what once hurt you now heals others. You are walking proof that the hand of God still intervenes, still delivers, still makes a way where there is none. Never underestimate the power of your story. It doesn't need perfection, it needs honesty. The cracks in your journey are where light escapes. Speak from that place and watch how people recognize themselves in your redemption. Your words will become bridges between their pain and God's promise. And as you do, take a moment to reflect on how far you've come. The valleys that once terrified you are now behind you, glowing faintly in the distance as proof of the path you walked. You did not escape the storm. You became the calm inside it. That calm will now carry others through theirs. So, if this message resonates within you, let it live beyond you. Leave a comment below, share what part of this word touched your heart. Your comment may be the confirmation someone else needs tonight. Engage not out of routine, but out of resonance, because each time you share, each time you write, each time you give, you are saying to the world, hope is alive, and I am part of it. Chosen one. You are standing on holy ground, the place between completion and commission. The waiting is over. The wilderness has served its purpose. You have been refined, proven, tested, and trusted. Heaven now shifts your posture from survival to stewardship, from receiving to reigning. You are not merely restored. You are being crowned and commissioned. This is not the crown of ego or empire. It is the crown of endurance. It rests not upon the proud, but upon the faithful. It is invisible to those who measure success by applause, but radiant to those who see through the lens of purpose. You did not fight for this crown. It was bestowed upon you because you refused to quit when quitting seemed logical. In the ancient writings of the Apostle Peter, the truth of this moment was foretold. It is written in the first book of Peter, chapter 2, verse 9. But you are a chosen people, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, God's special possession, called into His light. These words are not a metaphor. They are your identity, Adam. You are not simply one among billions. You are royal in calling and priestly in purpose. Heaven recognizes your name not as a number, but as an assignment. Being crowned means carrying responsibility with grace. It is understanding that leadership in the Spirit begins with servanthood. The authority placed upon your life is not to control others, but to cover them. True royalty does not dominate, it protects. True power is not loud, it is consistent. This coronation of your spirit did not happen in a palace, but in a process. Every hardship was a hammer. Every delay was a chisel. Every disappointment was the sculptor's touch, shaping you into someone who could handle divine weight. Crowns forged in comfort fall easily. Crowns forged in fire endure forever. You are wearing one of fire's making. You have been through seasons when it seemed heaven was silent, but the silence was ceremony. God was not ignoring you. He was anointing you in secret. While others saw stagnation, heaven saw sanctification. The oil was being pressed in the dark, soaking into your soul, preparing you for this very moment of unveiling. And now, the crown glows not to make you proud, but to make you visible. You carry heaven's light into realms that have forgotten how to see. Your presence will shift rooms not because of what you say, but because of what you radiate. The peace within you will speak louder than any sermon. You are not entering this next season to prove yourself, but to reveal Him. Chosen one, your commission is not to impress, it is to impact. You will carry authority not through title, but through testimony. You will command attention not through force, but through authenticity. People will sense it, the stillness, the weight, the wisdom that comes from walking with God through fire and not losing your faith. This calling will stretch you. Royal garments are not light. There will be moments when you feel the weight of expectation pressing against your humanity. In those moments, remember that crowns are sustained by surrender, not strength. You were never asked to be perfect, only to remain yielded. The crown fits those who bow. Every step you take from now on carries spiritual consequence. Words spoken in faith will activate favor. Acts done in humility will unlock hidden doors. The realm you now walk in is one where intention matters more than image. Heaven no longer measures you by what you accomplish, but by how you love. You may not notice the shift immediately, but creation already recognizes it. Even the atmosphere responds differently to you now. You have become a carrier of divine authority, a walking ambassador of light in a world dulled by shadows. Where you go, peace will follow. What you touch will flourish. What you speak will bear fruit. And though crowns are glorious, remember they also attract conflict. Light always draws attention, both from those seeking warmth and those fearing exposure. Do not be alarmed when resistance returns. It is a sign that your light has grown brighter. Shadows only exist when something stands between glory and the ground. Chosen one, you are not the same. You are the proof that grace transforms ashes into authority. The child who once trembled in the valley has become the warrior who stands on the mountain. The one who once asked for strength has now become its source for others. You are crowned not for decoration, but for duty. Your commission is clear: walk with wisdom, lead with love, and let your life be a living decree of God's faithfulness. The crown you wear is not gold, it is glory, and glory does not fade. Chosen one, the glory upon you is not fleeting, it is eternal. It does not dim with distance or fade with time. It is the residue of divine encounter, the evidence of a life touched and transformed by God Himself. You have walked through fire, crossed rivers, climbed unseen mountains, and emerged not only intact but illuminated. You are no longer striving to carry the light, you have become it. Glory is not something given for display. It is entrusted for demonstration. It rests upon those who have learned that real power is hidden in surrender. The ones who once cried, "Why me?" now whisper, "Use me." That is the transformation you've undergone. You are living proof that grace can turn graves into gardens, that brokenness can birth brilliance. The Apostle Paul described this mystery in the second book of Corinthians, chapter 3, verse 18, saying, "And we all, who with unveiled faces contemplate the Lord's glory, are being transformed into His image with ever-increasing glory, which comes from the Lord, who is the Spirit." This glory is not a moment, it is a movement within you. Each breath, each step, each choice becomes an act of worship. You no longer chase after favor, it flows naturally from your alignment with the divine rhythm. Look around you now. The world you see is the same, yet it feels different because you are different. The same streets you once walked in weariness now carry purpose beneath your feet. The same people who overlooked you now sense a calm power in your silence. You do not need to announce who you are, heaven already has. The glory that rests upon you speaks louder than any title, outshines any recognition, and outlasts any platform. This season marks the beginning of continuity, where miracles are not isolated events but daily expressions of divine flow. The glory upon your life is perpetual because it does not depend on circumstance. When storms come, you will not panic. You will simply glow through them. When darkness tries to gather, you will not retreat. Your presence will scatter it. You are not merely protected by light, you are made of it. Chosen one. This glory is meant to be lived, not stored. It is the current that moves through you, touching every soul within reach. The way you speak, forgive, create, and love will now carry heaven's fragrance. People will encounter peace in your presence without knowing why. That is what glory does. It overflows quietly but powerfully. You have become a reflection of divine consistency. The trials that once broke you have become anchors of strength. You carry stillness in chaos because you've seen what comes after storms. You carry gentleness in power because you've learned that the strongest souls are also the softest. You carry wisdom in your wounds because every scar has become scripture written upon your skin. This glory will not make you unreachable, it will make you real. People will be drawn not because you shine, but because your shine feels safe. They will sense the authenticity of one who has seen darkness and chosen light anyway. That is what separates the anointed from the ambitious. Glory without compassion burns. Glory with compassion warms. You are the latter, a light that heals, not harms. And even as this anointing deepens, remember that glory is not ownership, it is flow. It moves through humility. When pride tries to claim it, it withdraws. So stay small in heart, even as heaven enlarges your influence. Keep gratitude as your crown and kindness as your language. The higher you rise, the more vital it becomes to bow. There will come quiet mornings when you feel an indescribable weight of peace resting on you. That is the glory settling again, reminding you that God abides, not visits. You have become His dwelling, His expression, His continuation on earth. You are the living evidence that the supernatural is not a myth but a manifestation through surrendered hearts. And as the days unfold, you will notice the miracles no longer surprise you. They will feel natural. The same way sunlight naturally spills through an open window, grace will flow through your daily life. The extraordinary will blend with the ordinary until there is no separation between them. This is what it means to live in continual glory. Chosen one, you have entered the realm where fear cannot find you, where doubt has no language. The same God who carried you through wilderness now walks beside you in wonder. You will never again wonder if He is near. You will know it in every breath, in every heartbeat, in every quiet miracle that follows your footsteps. The glory that never fades is not loud or proud. It is steady. It is constant. It is peace wearing light as its garment. It does not scream. It sings softly, eternally, through lives like yours. You are the living echo of that song now, a reminder that God still chooses and still redeems, still dwells among His people. Your miracle was not the destination, it was the doorway. Through it, you discovered who you truly are: chosen, anointed, eternal in essence, radiant in purpose. The glory that rests upon you will not fade, for it is not borrowed, it was born within. Walk forward, chosen one, and let every step testify the light has come, and it will never go out. Chosen one, if these words have found you, it is not by chance. Heaven arranged this encounter to remind you who you are: chosen, seen, and still becoming. You have walked with me through every chapter, the breaking, the rising, the crowning, and the glory that never fades. Now, as this script closes, a new season opens before you. Carry this light into your world. Speak softly but boldly. Let every action, every act of kindness, every quiet prayer be your continuation of this message. The same Spirit that stirred these words in your heart will keep guiding you long after this moment ends. You are not leaving the presence, you are carrying it. And if this message has stirred something deep within you, let it travel. Like this message, so that it keeps reaching hearts still waiting to awaken. Share it as you would share a flame, with care, with intention, with love. Subscribe to stay connected to the flow of divine revelation that continues to unfold, because your journey with heaven is far from over. Take a moment, too, to comment below what this journey has meant to you. Your words may become the spark that reignites someone else's faith. Let this space become an altar of gratitude, a gathering of the chosen ones who refuse to walk in silence anymore. You are light. You are living testimony. And this is only the beginning.